Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special presentation. Today, we have the honor to host Mr. Peter Culpepper, CFO of Provectus Biopharmaceuticals. Technically speaking, this company here, it's around 91 cents. That's going to be a buy because it will clearly reverse its downward trend. They actually do involve in drugs. It's a biopharmaceuticals company. So I'll let Mr. Culpepper tell you more about this company and why his company should represent your next investment. So Mr. Culpepper, thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure and honor to be with you and your listeners today.
Excellent. So tell us more about your company. Can you describe what does your company do exactly?
Yes. For us, of course, and for the many hundreds of patients we have already treated. So we've already treated hundreds of humans throughout the United States, throughout Australia, and also New Zealand. And we're looking to go into even Canada, Europe, and in Asia, China, India, etc. So what we're doing is we're treating with our cancer drug different types of cancers in humans, primarily melanoma, breast cancer, and also liver cancer, not just the primary liver cancer, but any cancer that unfortunately goes to the liver. So we treat different types of cancers in humans in various clinical settings. And for dermatology, you mentioned dermatology, we're also treating different diseases of the skin. So that's psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, that sort of skin disease. So for us as a company, we are advancing on a number of different fronts in oncology and dermatology, and we're using a fascinating compound to the industry. We, as a matter of fact, just retained a strategic advisor from Pfizer to our strategic advisory board just yesterday. So we're attracting very high-profile big pharma interest as we embark on a phase 3, which is the last phase for our FDA and the global regulators to get our cancer drug approved.
Now let's talk about this, because the fact, from what I understand here, you seem to have a diversified portfolio of drugs. With this diversified portfolio of drugs, is there specific, because you guys are you're a large cap, you're junior to medium cap. What are the drugs that you're going to focus on for the months to come? Because you need to manage your cash efficiently, of course.
Yes, and that's a very important point. So we're focusing on the lead agent. So the primary focus is on our cancer drug that treats solid tumors. So these are, for our drug, we can treat with the same drug, the same lead agent for cancer, and we have different, as you referenced, we have different agents in this platform. But for the first one, we're focusing on getting that first one approved for treating different cancers. For instance, phase 3 melanoma. And this drug is called PV, as in Papa Victor, PV10. So that's the main one. And then the second one we're focusing on is PH10 for dermatology. And the key area there is we're showing the mechanism of the drug so that we can go into phase 3 there. So we really have 2 phase 3 programs for cancer, melanoma, and for dermatology, leading into psoriasis.
Now let's talk about the PV10, because there was one recent press release on May 23rd that came out. You didn't really like what the FDA said about that drug. You guys wanted to have that breakthrough criteria attached to that drug of PV10. But so far, you didn't have that. But you hired, as you mentioned, a partner, a consultant of Pfizer to help you guys go through. So tell us about the impact that this news had in your company, and how do you see this how do you see the future of the company after receiving that news from the FDA? Do you think it's going to be impacted negatively? Give us some your thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and thank you so much for addressing it. That's probably the most important item from a approval process from working with the FDA. And so, and of course, the FDA, Canada has their own Food and Drug Administration, Europe does, Australia, China, etc. So we're working primarily with the U.S. FDA, but we're also working with the regulators throughout the world. So for us, it's very important to work closely with the regulators because we need them to approve the drug. So what we did, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can. Of course, I'm a company officer, so people have to do their own due diligence. But from my standpoint and the company and the people we work with in the industry, they say when we met with the FDA at the end of last year, the FDA said, we have never seen data this good.
Okay.
Our drug kills the cancer.
Okay.
The challenge is it kills the cancer locally, and it's a local drug. So the regulators, including big pharma and life science professionals, they want a drug that works systemically, that works for the whole body. Our drug is delivered locally. And because of that, when we submitted the data at the FDA's request, so the FDA said, take your impressive data, send it to us in a formal request for the breakthrough therapy designation. So we did that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we actually are working with the FDA. Yeah. The FDA said, you have shown to us, and this is why we said that we were going to give the letter publicly. This is why you referenced the correct date, May 23rd. No company, to my knowledge, has ever released publicly an FDA letter, either approval or denial for breakthrough. We're the only one. So that shows you something as far as our transparency. So I encourage people to look at that letter. The FDA says, we have shown them with the data so far that our drug is safe and it has activity. It works. It works to the extent of the data. But then what the FDA said, you have to give us more data. You did not give us enough data. And then they, even in the breakthrough denial letter, they said, give us more data and apply for breakthrough again. So really, it's a bittersweet thing. Yes, we were trying to get it. We were trying to shortcut the process. Working with the FDA, we thought we could, but we were not successful with that. And our investors, the people that support us, the people we work with in the industry, and I'm talking about physicians, globally, globally, even large institutions like Sinopharm. We have a memorandum of understanding with Sinopharm. That's the largest Chinese pharma company. And of course, like you mentioned, we have very high-profile advisories on our strategic advisory board. So from all these different points, it's very clear to people that we have something worth pursuing. The FDA is encouraging us to move forward. The pharmaceutical companies, all the researchers, the people who are treating patients. We're right now treating people that have no options in compassionate use. Let's talk about that, because we do have some questions for some viewers here that are asking that are concerning that. And also I want to talk about China later. First of all, there's what's called a compassionate program that you mentioned in your corporate presentation. So a person is asking us how many people are in the compassionate program and what types of cancer are you guys treating them in this program. So can you answer this question, please? Sure. That's a great question. And anybody can see the trial design. So the actual trial design that's on file with our FDA and also with the Australian FDA. They call it Therapeutic Goods Administration. So for sites in the U.S., 4 sites, and sites in Australia, we have listed on clinicaltrials.gov under Provectus this compassionate use protocol. So we've treated publicly, we say, well over 100 people. So we've treated, and we continue to treat. We're treating right now at all these sites. So people right now are getting PV10 when they have 0 options. So these are people that have 0 options that are dying of cancer, and we're treating those people under compassionate use. So we can sleep well at night knowing that we're providing the drug for free to treat people. Now, we want to do this because the drug is actually helping, and we can provide the data to the FDA to show that it's safe and effective, which helps us get it approved quicker. So far, to answer the question, more fully, for this protocol, we're allowed by the FDA to treat any type of tumor. It doesn't matter what kind of cancer it is, that it's either on the skin or under the skin. So any cutaneous or subcutaneous. So it could be anything on your scalp or head, anything like breast cancer. It could be any kind of melanoma. It could be. Now, unfortunately, in this protocol, we cannot do anything inside. We can't go brain cancer or lung cancer or liver cancer. We have a liver program right now, so anything that goes to the liver, we're allowed to treat liver cancer and cancers that go to the liver. But the compassionate use program is only for any type of cancer. It doesn't matter what type, on the skin or under the skin.
Okay, now let's talk, because we have several questions also from the audience, but I also want to mention about China here, because you mentioned you want to secure a license agreement in China. So for that, you have initiated talks with a company called Sinopharm China City Institute. So tell us, for the PV10, tell us how are the talks going on? What's the strategy behind this? Like, do you want to be acquired by this company, or what are you looking for?
Okay, thank you. So our objective as a company ourselves, Provectus, we're not commercializing. We're just developing to reach to the point where it's commercializable, to get approval. We have said in our filings we want to do regional licenses, so in large areas that make sense. China, of course, India, of course. We want to do regional licenses with the dominant player. So in China, it's Sinopharm. We're talking to companies in India. We're talking to companies also in other large geographies that are interested in what we're doing. So we have different efforts. But for a large transaction globally, and that would include all North America and Europe, we would likely do a transaction with one of the global players like Pfizer or Merck or Johnson & Johnson or Novartis or Hoffmann La Roche or Bristol Myers or AstraZeneca. Those are my top companies in terms of a global transaction. And so Sinopharm recently did a transaction with Pfizer themselves. So Pfizer does deals with Sinopharm to get into the China market. So the same thing with us. How do any company work in China? They should partner up, because the China market needs local intelligence and local support with the government to work effectively. Even Pfizer, as large as they are doing that. So our objective is to do the license transactions for a number of reasons. So this is exclusive use of PV10 for all cancers, melanoma, liver cancer. There's more liver cancer in China than any other place in the world. More than half of the world's liver cancer is in China. So they're very interested in our drug for liver cancer. And then they're also interested in it for breast cancer and other solid tumors. So for us as a smaller company, we can see this as a tremendous benefit to get patients treated. We can treat a lot of people quicker. We can get more effective interaction with the FDA in China, and we can get some benefit for the stock. Get upfront license fee, milestones, and royalties, and then the license would be assignable. Let's just say hypothetically Pfizer acquires us. The license transaction with Sinopharm would be assignable to Pfizer or whoever acquires us. So that's our strategy.
So we have 2 minutes left for the interview, but there are two things I need to ask you. First of all, there's one question that I think is really relevant from one of the viewer here. First of all, here, are there other research organizations using PV10 in other cancers, and who many are they? And the second question I want to ask you is that you as a company, you do have competition, but what makes your company stand out compared to the competition? Can you tell us about that?
That's a great question also, and the most important thing is we're working with a compound. The lead compound is extraordinarily well known in the industry. It's called Rose Bengal. So that's the active ingredient of our lead oncology and lead dermatology drug product. Investigational drug product. The active ingredient is Rose Bengal. It's very well known, but it's only been used globally as a diagnostic. We have the intellectual property for all therapeutic uses of Rose Bengal. So we are the ones that figured out how to use this extraordinarily well-known diagnostic drug that's even been approved diagnostically. We have figured out how to use it therapeutically and have protected it for shareholders. What's radical is nobody else in the industry is focusing on this kind of mechanism. So we do have very well-known research organizations throughout the world that are using this compound and our formulation to show why it's working so well.
Okay.
It's very unusual. We kill the disease locally, and we prime or help the immune system immunologically. So we help the immune system. We do not hurt the immune system. We actually help the immune system as we kill the cancer.
Okay, excellent. Now, for viewers who's been looking at this interview, who's not yet convinced that he should actually look at this company more closely, what would you tell him to convince him?
Well, I think you hit it off to a certain extent. The price point is outstanding. So I think we're a diamond in the rough. We're on the New York Stock Exchange, MKT, the old Amex, as you said. So we're a listed company. We have extraordinarily robust strategic advisors, big pharma executives that are helping us. We have research organizations that are working on our drugs that validate. So somebody does not need to take my word for it. They can go to publications, peer-reviewed, validated publications, and see how radically unique our drugs are actually performing. The data is out there. So this is a under the radar opportunity if somebody just does some due diligence, in my opinion. So it's a way to get in before the action. And what's the best exit for a company like ours is getting into phase 3 and then doing a partnership. And we're about ready to launch our phase 3. We filed the protocol with the FDA. So as soon as you launch that phase 3, which we'll press release very soon, we feel very good about it. That's when people can see data generated, and that's what's important. The phase 3 is the last phase.
Excellent. So, Mr. Culpepper, that's all the time that we have for the interview, but definitely we look forward to hear back from you for a follow-up interview in 2015 when the phase 3 you will be allowed to do the phase 3 on that drug. So thanks a lot again for coming by to give us that interview, Mr. Culpepper.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.